Space Commander.
Full force.
We're
back. So Space Commander's got his usual internet lagging, but that's what we love about it. Be a good old Space Commander. I'm wearing the appropriate. If you're going to freeze like this the whole time, that's better than the other face you were pulling. Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Yeah, TJC saying, good evening, legends. Right back at you, good buddy. Blues is here. Have a fantastic show, fellas. Great to have Space Commander up and chipper. Blues has been asking about you, Spacey, wondering where you've been. So we're glad to be bringing you back. Mrs. Space Commander. Hello, everyone. Hello to you too. Thanks for joining in. Crash coming in with a Space Commander. Good to see you. Facebook user is here. I made it, Commander. Now, oh yes. Well, here it is. I was promised a hat. This would be Cindy. We have promised her a hat. Full force. So we'll get you. We'll get you that.
Hats are on the way. Well, actually, we've got a small supply of hats. But at the moment, we don't have any patches at the front. We don't have any badges yet. But they're in the pipeline. Just be patient.
All righty. Well, first one we get, we'll send over to Cindy. Did Space happen to see Crash and Burn? Have you seen it yet?
Well, I was talking to TJC about this yesterday because some of you know I got sick last month. I was quite ill, and then this month, well, I say this month, I mean February. My all my IT died, which is why we didn't do. We had games night scheduled, and
yes.
All my system packed up, wouldn't work. And so I said to the guys, "Well, you go ahead, go without me." And this fella here, he said, "We're not doing games night without you."
That's it. We can't do it without Space Commander.
I'm afraid it was my fault. It was it had to be rescheduled. But I was saying to TJC yesterday, I've got a list because I wasn't able to watch them for like the last 6 or 7 weeks. So I've got all the Crash and Burn, all of TJC's gaming memories, Toy Bits with Adam, Mo Tuesday. So I am going to watch them. I just need a bit more time, A, for me to recover, and B, for my new technology to settle in. But I promise you, it's on the way. It's on the way.
All right. Well, we also have Rolando here. Hello, Rolando. And Nodzi up and about early or staying up late. Which way is it? Hey, Mark is here. Just popped on to say hi to you both. Great meeting the commander yesterday, and says I'll hopefully meet up soon. If we can have a beer one day, that would be brilliant. And podcast from the pit. Also want to say hi. Watch the replay tomorrow. Thanks, buddy. I'll get back to you about the Mo Tuesday. I think it's on. This week. I'll get back to you ASAP. But yeah, Mark Potter, we're hoping to have Mark and TJC on next week with yourself to talk about a little adventure you had. A little adventure, which, if you don't mind me saying, was epic and legendary. A clash of titans, a clash of legends coming together. And I don't say this lightly because we did have a funeral for you some time ago. You just had the benefit of being alive for it. However, I think after this photo, I might have to pull up that old funeral march again.
Yeah, when I said that earlier, I nearly put underneath cue the funeral march.
Present and accounted for. If it says Facebook user, it's because Facebook doesn't have permission to use your name. I was able to guess it was Cindy earlier. If this is still Cindy, it's difficult to tell. But Cindy also mentioned that she'd pay for a Space Commander hat. But I reckon we can send one to Sydney. Not to Sydney. If it goes to Sydney, she'll never get it. To City, not to the city. Why can I not talk this morning? By the way, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. So
I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
Cindy, sorry, Cindy, you can get one absolutely. No money down. Anyway, what is this? What is this? What are we looking at?
This is the famous Cobra clutch.
It is
with a legendary wrestler, the legendary wrestler, the most legendary American wrestler of them all, Sergeant Slaughter.
Now, did you get your challenge coin?
I did. I have it here.
Oh, hang on.
Oh. Says, are you going to the toilet again?
Yes.
You don't have to leave the mic running.
Don't call me out like that. I said if I need to go. Okay, hang on. 408. Okay, let me solo you, Spacey, so we can. Whoop.
Let me see if I can get this on my new camera.
Oh, mate, I've seen better graphics on the Commodore 64. However, it is amazing to see that you were able to get a Cobra Clutch, survive it, and get the Cobra Clutch coin. How good is it? And that is a top quality coin too.
It's got some weight to it. Feel and see the quality of it.
If only we had the bandwidth to see the quality of that coin.
Oh, dear. Is it my end that's looking, or is it your end?
Mate, it could be any of us. How did that look in the chat? How did that look? Did it look blurry for you too? But that's only because if it's blurry, it's only because he is so nervous and coming off the back of having a Cobra clutch that his hands are so shaky that you can't see it quite clearly. I reckon that's what it is.
I was assured that this new equipment was a step up from what I was using before, but maybe they conned me. I don't know.
I don't. Oh, painting filter, yeah. I want to meet Sarge. I don't live far. I don't travel well due to a disability. Yeah, that does make it tricky. So tell us all about this experience. How did it feel? I'll be right back.
Steve's got a new member of the family, a little four-legged friend. I can hear crying out in the background there. So I reckon he's probably running across his home at the moment to try and pick the little fellow up before he makes a puddle somewhere.
Yeah, we got a little critter. It's a drop bear.
All Aussie animals are drop bears.
That's right. It's deadly.
So yes, we all queued up for to meet. The first thing we did was to meet Sergeant Slaughter. He had a table, and you could go up and have you can have photos taken with him, or there's lots of stuff for sale. So you could buy a picture, you could buy an autograph. He had some action figures there that you could buy. I brought my own, of course, for him to sign. That saved me a few pennies. And we saw, Mark Potter, Renegade 1, he was in the queue ahead of TJC and I, and TJC's my boy Jace. We were queuing up together, and we could see Mark Potter up ahead. And he sort of turned around, and we were sort of like signaling to each other over the heads of the people in the queue. And when he went up to have his turn, we see what the process was, where you stand, and how you talk to the person who's organising it, and you put your money down, and then go over to Sarge and have a little meet and greet with him. He was very generous with his time. He was talking for a fair bit of time with each person, and that takes a special type of caring for your fans to do that.
I agree.
I genuinely think that of all the wrestlers there were some great wrestlers there. Scott Steiner was there, Rikishi was there, amongst many others. Al Snow, X-Pac, there were a lot of them. Trish Stratus was there. But the queue for Sarge, I genuinely think the queue for Sarge was the biggest one of all, and had the most people in, and took the longest to get through as well. Because, as I say, he's very generous with his time, and he talks to everyone. Yeah. We saw Mark go up, and we saw what happened to him, and he got choked. And then eventually it was our turn. TJC and Jace went up first. And because what you're seeing here, the Cobra Clutch Challenge, that's we'd already paid for that separately. It was like a prepay thing, and that was to take place later on in the day in another location within the exhibition hall. So when TJC and Jace and I went up, we didn't get choked at that point. we were bracing ourselves for later on. So yeah, TJC. Oh wait, Kelly. I should just mention, Kelly was ahead of us. She got in the queue with Mark. She wasn't actually queuing to have anything done, of course. So I think people waiting in line might have in, but she actually hadn't got in. She was just talking to Mark for a while. C and I, and Kelly Slaughter daughter. In case you didn't know, Kelly is the daughter of Sergeant Slaughter. She came and met Jace, who had a big box of chocolates and sweets for her.
Oh yes,
yeah, she was very happy to meet Jace, and
I reckon he would have just absolutely loved that interaction. I know he's a big fan. Check out the Slaughter Daughter channel too if you want to check out some other Sergeant Slaughter related live streams. Hey, legend Gaz. But yeah, I think Mike Potter came up with a epic custom of Slaughter Daughter, which I'm sure that he would have been proud to show off as well. I think there was a photo.
That was a topic of conversation on the day, and he was showing the photograph of it that he'd made. It's a really excellent video, and meeting Kelly and the time she put in with Jace and spending time with Jace, it was really sweet. So I'm sure TJC will talk more about that, and he's on the show next week.
Yeah. So we want to have our good buddy Tej and our good buddy Mark come on next week if they're free, and we can all talk about how we survived the Cobra Clutch at the hands of the strongest man in the universe, our childhood hero, Sergeant Slaughter. But I had a feeling, I don't know what it was, but I had a feeling at Joe Fest, because we talked about who should have been there at Joe Fest that wasn't there, and many names came up, including Tej, yourself, and Mike Potter, about how that would have been an even better experience, amongst other people that were more local. But from the UK, we were thinking that if you guys were there, would have been fantastic. But there was something in my mind that made me think, I think this will happen. I don't know what it was, but I just had this feeling in my heart that there was going to be a time where Mark Potter at least was going to be able to get a Cobra Clutch from his childhood hero. What I didn't expect was to see the legendary Space Commander in full regalia getting the Cobra Clutch from my childhood hero. Legendary. Now, legendary. These two legends coming together. I never thought I would see this photo, but I'm so glad that I have. It is just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a DC/Marvel crossover. You know what I mean?
I don't know about two legends. I see Sarge one legend there, and the other guy's maybe a leg end, like the butt.
This is the crossover. This is the crossover we didn't know we wanted, but actually, no, we did know we wanted it. I take that back. We did know we wanted it, and we got it.
So
yeah,
I'm flying casual tonight, but yesterday with Sarge, I was definitely 100% going to wear my Space Force Action Force uniform to meet a real life Action Force GI Joe, who back in the 80s was known as Sergeant Slammer in the UK. But we'll get to that later on.
Well, actually, let's just dive into that a little bit, because I think it's an interesting tale of woe, where you had made an eBay purchase specifically for the day. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't on eBay. It was a separate website. Run by some people who I don't want to damage their business.
Sure.
But at the same time, okay. So most of you guys have seen my various items from my Action Force collection. Some of it's still in storage, unfortunately, but I've tried to keep most of the stuff I had as a kid. And anything that I didn't have as a kid, or I did have, but it got smashed because, let's say someone dropped an entire drum kit onto it, for example, and it got destroyed. Things like that I've been trying to replace over the years. So, you've seen this guy on the channel before. This is my Triple T Sarge. And according to a video by a certain gentleman, that way.
No, you have to bring it up again. You froze before you brought it up into camera view.
Oh, sorry.
There it is.
Can you hear us all right, though?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay. So this is my original Sergeant Slammer figure. And according to the video by Zazel here, camo pattern on his trousers can testify that he is an original Sergeant Slammer. However, I needed to get a Sergeant Slammer Triple T that was not destroyed.
Right,
So
right.
I spent a long time.
How are you, G-Force?
Hey! I spent a long time looking and found this one. Excellent condition. It's got the original Action Force and Sergeant Slammer stickers all over it. It's complete with all the pieces. The only thing missing is the swagger stick, but that's always going to be missing, isn't it?
Yeah. I've got maybe a handful of them. You know, not all of my Sarge figures have a swagger stick. But other than that, and other than I've seen photos, guys. First of all, I've seen photos of this thing, and it looks great. Don't take Space Commander's dodgy internet to be a representation of the true look of this Sergeant Slammer Action Force Triple T. Yeah, I love it. It's such I love the different sticker placements as well that it has to the Triple T, and not just the Action Force stickers, but they actually and the Sergeant Slammer name specific, but they actually do have different placements of different stickers according to the like that front one there. Yeah, brilliant, love it. So anyway, yeah, you wanted it to arrive.
Yeah, this came up, and it was still like I think it was like 2 weeks or a little over 2 weeks before the exhibition. So
Plenty of time.
Yeah, you'd have thought so, right? So my idea was, let's see, they drive on the right. No, wait, we drive on the right hand, left hand side of the road in the UK. So I thought, well, on the right hand side, the UK driver's side, get Sergeant Slammer written on here, Sarge, and maybe Sergeant Slaughter on the other side. So I thought maybe that'd be a good thing for Sarge to sign. Except just a few days ago, before we went to the event, I got a tracking information email from the company that was bringing it for me, and they said, "Oh, we've just been asked to go and pick up this parcel from this vendor." I thought, what? I've had my order for over a week. Why are you only now picking it up?
Yeah. Oh, dear.
So while we were actually meeting with Sarge and having drinks with him, I got a message from Mrs. This had just arrived. So sadly, it was too late. It was too late to get that signed.
However, unbelievable. There's an incoming email coming your way from Crash, by the way. Keep an eye out on that.
I will do.
And please leave a like on this live stream. Every like we get fixes Space Commander's internet.
It's like I always say, it's the 3 L's: link, like, and subscribe. So I got Sarge to sign this instead.
Well, I can't see it yet because you're frozen. I'll let you know. Oh, there it is. I'm going to solo you for a second, even though, we won't be able to make out what it says. Full Force Space Commander. As you were. Nice.
And then he signed it, Sergeant Slammer.
Wicked.
So he's even gone for that. I didn't ask him to do that, bless him. He just did that off his own bat.
Yeah.
He put the UK name on.
I like the yellow. It really pops.
Yeah, it was a great choice. He's choosing which colours he signs in, and he chose the Action Force logo, of course. But this is what I really wanted. But maybe someday.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love the Triple T. I know the Triple T has its naysayers, and I say nay to the naysayers because I think that the Triple T is the perfect vehicle for Sarge, and I'll tell you why. And disagree with me if you like on this, Spacey, because I'm not exactly right 100% of the time. All right.
I think
So if you disagree, let me know. But I'll say this about the Triple T, right? It is not a vehicle for Triple T. The Triple T. It's not a vehicle for Sergeant Slaughter to use in battle. It's a vehicle for Sergeant Slaughter to get to the battle. And the open cockpit is so that he can launch himself out with ease and get into the thick of it. Right? He doesn't need front protection because he doesn't want to be stuck in that seat anyway. He wants to get out and get some fisticuffs, put those wrestling moves on those BATs or Vipers or whatever is going up against the Cobra La, if you will, all of the above. And anything else is just gravy, right? Rockets. Okay, if you need to get through a wall and the sort of cannon won't cut it, well, then we'll just use the rockets. The guns, I mean, they're, again, just gravy. Anything else?
They're more decorative than...
It's a chariot.
Yeah.
It's a chariot with a leg.
The criticism I heard most for it is that it doesn't cover Sarge up. And like with a tank, you need lots of forward armor plating, and there isn't any with this, pretty much. But yeah, if we were talking about real world combat, then that's certainly a viable argument. But we're talking about
how are you, Gap?
A toy range that came out when we were children. It was meant for kids. It's not meant to be real life practical. It's meant to be toyetic. There's a word from the toy industry. It's meant to be toyetic. And so the reason Sarge isn't covered up is because he's the star of the show. Whenever this comes out, hello, Gap. Whenever Sarge shows up, he's the one who's front and center. So, of course, he's not going to be covered up in this version.
Exactly. I mean, even the Marauders, the Equalizer. He didn't come with the Equalizer, but he's on the box, and the Warthog. Right. He's still up front and center. Not even though it does have a lid, especially on the Warthog. He doesn't need it. Hats off to you, Phil. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. And the figure 6-pack letting us know that the Triple T stands for Tag Team Terminator. Did you know that, Space Commander?
I did know that, yes.
Well, knowing is half the battle.
It is, yeah. As you know, I'm not as up on my G.I. Joe knowledge as I am on my sort of Power Toy Action Force knowledge. But that is one thing I definitely did know. Well,
you know what though? That's a perfect segue, if I can find it. That's a perfect segue to where this little number.
Because knowing is half the battle.
Space Commander.
Look at those sideburns.
Yeah. Just to prove that you are in sometimes high definition.
Oh, it was great. We when after TJC and Jace had been seen by Sarge, and I went up.
Yeah.
He looked up and he immediately recognized the uniform because, as you know, Sarge has been on the channel with us a couple of times, and straight away he reached out to shake my hand. He was like, "Space Commander." So, that kind of gave
thanks, Gaz.
Not necessarily my ego, but the ego of the uniform had a bit of a boost that Sarge would recognize me so early.
Good. Yeah. Well. Hey to Joe Fan 84. He just wanted to say, hey. He's a little busy right now. I'll catch you on the replay. That's all good, my friend. Thanks for dropping in. Speaking of Triple T's, he's got one there, Joe Fan 84 with a Triple T in his logo there.
Beautiful.
Carried 3 into battle. True. You can fit 2 on the side. You can fit 1 in the cab, but I reckon you could probably load up a few more there anyway, right?
That's what elastic bands are for.
So the figure 6-packs come over from G.I. Joeberg. I actually got to get the G.I. Joeberg lads on a couple of our play motions where we do the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship, which now, Space Commander, you can back me up on this, all right? You've seen some of the script for the next episode. You know I'm working on it. All right? It's just been 2 years since the last one. Oh, here's a Gaz saying, slam that like button and sub, and maybe consider joining Zazel's Clubhouse by becoming a channel member. Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Channel members will get an opportunity to be part of the games night now that Space Commander has a computer and we're ready to go. That's true. That is true. We'll cut you some slack. You are transmitting from space, for Pete's sake. Yeah, for Pete specifically sake. Now, classified Triple T would be good. However, I'm a little excited for that Transformers crossover one that may or may not be turning into Cup. What do you think about that, Space Commander? What do you think about that? Transformers.
Yeah, big fan of Transformers, particularly the first range from 1984. And Cup came along a couple of years later in '86. But yeah, he's a sergeant in the Autobot ranks, and he's a grizzled old soldier. So that would be perfect for Sergeant Slaughter.
You got to challenge him.
They both drop a cigar every day,
Yeah. I don't think something tells me that the figure won't come with that cigar-looking thing. But Crash reckons he's going to dethrone you at the next games night. So you can. There's more than just games nights now when it comes to being a channel member or a Patreon supporter, because we now have Crash has his own show for Patreon members and channel members only, and that's called Crash and Burn. And we had to put it on a Patreon or channel members exclusive because it's a bit adults only. Maybe not suitable for all viewers. But if you've got a strong stomach, unlike me at Joe Fest, if you've got a strong stomach, want to check it out, do check that one out. A couple of awesome shows coming to the Patreon and the channel members exclusively. However, if you want to be a part of it, I know Cindy's super looking forward to coming back again. Games night will be happening soon. Yeah, Cup is a great choice. Some people are saying Ironhide, which I can see. What other options would the Triple T turn into if not Cup, though? Because Cup, if you look at the silhouette of Cup and you look at the Triple T, I mean, I can see the similarities, but then you can kind of also see. Yeah, I know. Spacey, did you also have this issue when you were going to go and meet Sarge, or is it just localized to me?
No, as you know, I've got one or two health things going on.
Yeah.
So before I went, I loaded up on drugs to make sure that nothing happened. Nothing happened on the entire trip.
Now, these are legal and prescription drugs. Kids, don't take drugs. PSA, don't do it. Don't do it.
Mine
don't
came
do
from
it.
A registered pharmacist just over there on Mars.
So Blues are saying, is Spacey still the Games Night champion? No. Good point. Good point.
My good mate Gaz is the current leader.
That's right.
I mean, Crash was saying, dethrone Spacey. To be honest, okay, this is going to sound like a humble brag. I don't mean it to. But I've won the thing so many times now. I'm grateful for someone else to have a go. It's going to feel like there's a target on you when you're at the top. And who better to be the top of the leaderboard than my mate Gaz? He's one of the few people I can sit and discuss at great length old black and white movies with.
Yes.
As soon as they see something's in black and white, they kind of dismiss it, but not Gaz. So great guy, and I'm happy that he's the current leader. And if I get it again, I'll be happy for someone else to come and take it from me, unless it's Ken.
Don't be so hard on the boy.
If you're gonna win with grace.
I think it was the shock. I think it was the shock of it all. But I don't think Ken actually was able to come back and to hold his title. I think he was unavailable that other week. So
yeah, he was unavailable the following week, but he did come on a few weeks later, and I trashed him.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I misremembered. I'm getting old. You know what I mean, Spacey. I'm getting old. My memory's not as good as it used to be. But I would love to see Ken, yourself, Gaz, and Crash all going for the top spot. No holds barred. Tag team champion. Ken won and ran. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I did not so long ago where I actually won something that I tried for the first time and then never went back to it because I didn't want to have a losing streak. Anyway, that's irrelevant. Don't look at me, I'm irrelevant. I will say this, Spacey. When it comes to the Triple T, did you know, and knowing is half the battle, as you have previously said, did you know that the file card for Sergeant Slammer actually says more about his wrestling background than any of his other file cards does?
I know that because I subscribe to this wonderful channel and its sister channel, Sergeant Slaughterhouse. Please link, like, and subscribe to all to both of those channels, please. There's an absolute wealth of information to be mined there, and the notes on the file card for Sergeant Slammer is all detailed in the video.
Perfect. That's you should do more PSAs. Oh, hang on, you do. You do them for Mo Tuesday. You do them for this show. You do it. There's a PSA for any moment. There's a new champion that would throw the hat into the ring. Crones. Oh dear.
Yes, I do the PSA for Mo Tuesday in my Filmation voice.
I don't know how you don't have your own show. Oh wait, you do. We're watching it now. If you leave a like for Spacey's return, we think by the time the show ends, his internet will have caught up.
This is supposed to be new state of the art.
I don't think it's the computer. I think it's the connection. After this weekend, do I get a job as space pilot? Oh, that's a good point. Where does TJC fit in the ranks of Space Command?
He is the space chauffeur. No, so he did a great job. He did a great job. As I said, the last couple of weeks have been absolutely crazy. I've had hardly any sleep, in a right bad way, and there was no way I was going to be able to drive for 4.5, 5 hours without falling asleep half an hour into it. So
yeah.
He took over the driving duties all the way there and all the way back, and we're in between. Can't fault the guy. He did a great job, and it was great to hang out again. We hung out previously up in Leicester. Yeah, it was good to see him.
Well, then what do we call him? Pilot Tej.
Yeah. Rocket Man Tej.
Rocket Man. Oh, that's even better. Rocket Man Tej. All right, we'll have to get TJC a hat. Oh, wait, TJC's got a hat. Well, at least I saw young Jace was wearing one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Jace,
yeah, I'm still, as I said, I'm waiting for the patches to come through. But Jace kept trying to put a hat on TJC's head. But I said, TJC already looks like The Rock. He doesn't need a hat.
True. Yeah. I said I saw a photo of him in the group photo, and I said if he just had a mustache, we'll show that photo next week. But if he just had a mustache, it'd look a bit like the Sarge, I reckon.
Yeah. TJC and Mark took some great pictures. So next week when they're on, we'll be able to have a look at them. And they get some nice group shots and things that be appropriate for the show. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, Rocket Man Tej. Love it. That's what from now. Rocket Man Tej. We've got Renegade 1, Rocket Man Tej, and Space Commander all joining us next week. Spacey.
Yeah.
There's an image behind me. And there's a character here. What's cracking? How
do I even begin to explain for the Mo Tuesday, which, as I'm sure many of you know, is a Masters of the Universe show that my man Phil up in down in Japan and Adam up in Canada.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most Tuesdays I'm busy fighting mutons on the coasts of the UK, and sometimes up in space around the space station. So I'm not available for it.
Unfortunately.
But these gentlemen asked me to do some sort of Filmation style PAs for the end of each episode.
Yeah.
And in one of these episodes, I happened to feature the reaction figure, 3 3/4 inch 5 POA action figure of Merman.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm getting a message saying, "Can you just shoot some footage of Merman and Kraken from Action Force? He's a bad guy in Action Force. Can you film these two guys together?" Well, doing what? anything.
Yeah, just anything.
Yeah, just anything. And I haven't got very many small sized accessories, but I did have a miniature bucket of chicken. So I'll give them a bucket of chicken they can pass to each other, sort of thing. I sent this bizarre, strange footage to Zazel, and next thing I know, we've got a new show. What's cracking? Zazel has cleverly edited the footage together in such a way and added dialogue and my bizarre underwater sound effects, and created a new show out of it called What's Cracking.
Oh, hang on. I got a drop bear issue. So I was inspired by Jim Largo to do something because he's got something coming up. Jim Largo's got Operation Brainstorm. Yeah, there it is. If there's enough people in the chat that want to see it, I'll just play it here. If anyone's keen to watch it now, I can just play it. If anyone wants to see it now, let me know. Or do check it out. Thanks for the link, Gaz. But he's doing something called Operation Brainstorm. And he's like, there's a bunch of people that are all going to get together and just create random little videos. And so I thought about a few different things that to do. But then, yeah, your PSA with the gurgling sounds of underwater critters had me thinking, you know what? What if I did a as Galvatron would put it, bad comedy of like a sitcom, quite like the things that got me thinking. And I'm not saying that this is like that, right? But I love British comedy, and I'm not saying that this is that. But I like shows like Young Ones, Bottom, The Goodies, Faulty Towers. Did I mention Monty Python yet? All of those ones, right, which are just crazy, off the wall, ridiculous fun. And I wanted to do a bad version of good comedy, and so intentionally so. But yeah, if anyone gets any chuckle out of it, I'd be very surprised. But it's intentionally, like especially like oh, thanks, Gaz. Especially if you watch The Office, the original British version. How are you, WJ? Good to see you. Thanks for popping over. I was talking about the G.I. Joe Berg lads earlier. Good bunch of people over there, and have been on this channel a few times, especially for the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship. Keep harping on about that, but you know, I really love that show. What was I saying?
Monty Python, The Office,
Right.
The Goodies.
Cutthroat Comics, how are you, buddy? That was you saying you were going to do the Sidewalk Slam. Yeah, so I love that. I love British humor, but because I'm an Australian convict, not quite British, maybe it gets lost in translation. Yes. All the good stuff. Are you being served? I remember that one. I'm not really familiar with fish flakes. Is that a quote? Is that a quote or a show?
It's what you feed a goldfish, isn't it? Well, that guy. Feed him.
Yeah. But do check it out. It was a fun little thing to do. But oh yes, good. See, I told you, people are wondering where you've been, mate. They'll be like, "Where's Spacey? Is he all right? Where's Spacey?"
Yeah, sorry.
Are you being served fish flakes? I get it. I get it. It's very clever. Too clever for me. I'm not that bright. It's early in the morning, so I'm also not that awake. But when Spacey said, "Hey, let's go live," I'm like, "Yeah, when?" And you're like, 6 o'clock in your morning. So who can say no to Spacey?
It's tricky. The time zones are so inconvenient, shall we say? But yes, sorry, Cutthroat Comics. I was mentioning earlier, I was sick for a little while, and then my computer got sick for a little while, and it still is from the look of it. So we're having a few problems, but we're getting there. We're getting things sorted piece by piece, and it didn't stop us from going and seeing Sarge yesterday. So that was the main thing.
Oh yeah, for those that haven't seen, that have popped in, this happened. How brilliant is that?
The man
Sarge
himself.
in the UK. Now, if we could just get Sarge to Australia.
Yeah, that would be cool. So this was after the initial meet and greet. We queued up for this, and you get given a token. We'd prepaid. Thanks everyone as well who helped out with organising this, and we had help from the guys, and of course Mrs. Space Commander. She's so good at organising things, and it's kind of like a lifestyle is to organise things, which is funny. Why are we together? I don't know, but she organises. And so she had prepaid with help from you guys. She had prepaid for the. She just walked by and said, "I heard that." With help from you guys, she prepaid for the Cobra Clutch encounters, and as you're queuing up, someone comes and talks to you briefly, and so I had a token with 1 on it for just me, and then TXC had a token with 2 on it, 1 for him and Jace together. So those guys go up first and had this delightful sort of family experience photo. A little kid watching his dad being choked out by a professional wrestler. And then next up was me, and I had a nice comment from Hans earlier. Hans Chow, great guy.
Yes.
Because on the like the slightly wider version of this photograph, you can see my other arm is just sort of like dangling there loosely at my side. It all happened so quickly, you didn't really have a chance to sort of plan what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And, afterwards, I should have really sold it. I should have had my other arm grappling with him, sort of thing, not just dangling there. But it all happened too quickly. But then when Hans saw the picture, he was like, "No, that's perfect because it looks like you're in a sleeper hold. It looks like you're passed out." And looking at it, I think, yeah, it does look like I'm on the bridge passing out.
You're selling it.
Yeah, which is what that's part of professional wrestling. That's part of kayfabe. So yeah, now I'm quite happy with the photo.
Yeah, good. Well, I thought it was great. I thought that's what you were doing. I thought you were selling it.
I shouldn't have said anything. Don't.
Yeah, you silly duffer. So tell me about what it was like lining up, because for us at Joe Fest, the line was stretched out amongst so many vendors' tables that they were nice about it, but they were like, we can't sell stuff to our customers because you guys are lining up for Sarge, right? And I lined up. Oh gosh, every opportunity I got, I lined back up again and kept going back to it. They actually had to move the line because he was the first thing you see as you go into the doors. They actually had to move the line from going sideways along the vendors to straight down through the double doors. Yeah. So what was it like when you got there? Because you got there late. No, it's fine. Nobody had an issue with it, but you got there late. And then how far back from Mark Potter were you?
We were only a few spots behind Mark. We weren't too far behind. And like I was saying to Miss Commander when I got home last night, we the whole thing about us being late on that first day isn't entirely down to us. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but there was a problem with the train, which meant that Kelly, who was meeting us for dinner that night, because of the train issue, she didn't get to meet us until before midnight. It felt that late. So we were all TGC and myself and James, of course. We were late to our separate beds. Let me specify that. We were all late to bed, and of course that then meant that come the following morning when we should have been up, we were lagging behind. But having said that, once we were in the queue, we could see Mark Potter was a few spots ahead of us. I turned around at one point, and the queue behind us went all the way to the door.
Yeah.
We were late. In the grand scheme of things, we were one of the first,
So, hey to Johnny, how are you, buddy? The Space Clutch. So maybe I know you're selling it here, but maybe you were so tired that you just had a quick nap. You took the opportunity to have a micro nap.
Nap.
But you can't blame the night before for not getting up. That was the day before's problem. You not being able to get up is on brand for Space Commander anyway, because you don't like getting up before midday if you can help it.
That's true. I'm nocturnal, you know. I'm used to living in space. I'm used to it being dark, you know.
There we are. Kelly got there just after 10. Me and Jace were ready on time as Jace was so excited to see Kelly again, bless him. So, here we go. So someone was ready and on time.
I said I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. And then here comes TJC.
Yeah. Space
pilot, you're sacked.
You got thrown under the rocket on that one. So there's. I'm a night owl too. I don't like getting up super early if I don't have to. But I was the first person in line for I think on every day I was the first person in line for Sarge's booth. But because it was a G.I. Joe convention, amongst other collectibles and so forth, but because it's Joe Fest, there are Joe fans, right? There were some wrestling fans there as well, and some that were both wrestling and Joe fans. But because you were at a wrestling event, were there many Joe fans? Oh, look, TJC's just throwing everyone under the bus today. Say hi to Jace.
I was just about to say nice things about Jace, so I might reserve them now.
I'm sure Jace had a great time. The photos looked amazing. He looked absolutely like he was having the time of his life.
It was a long couple of days for someone so young. But yeah, it was I'd say almost 100% wrestling fans, and I kind of went in knowing that because it wasn't a G.I. Joe or Action Force event, I knew I'd probably be the only lunatic dressed like this. But I didn't. I totally didn't care about that. It was to do with it was mainly to do with getting TJC, Jace, and Mark to meet Sarge. But from the Action Force perspective that I have, I thought this could be like a once in a lifetime. Actually, Mrs. Space Commander, as I say, things have been a bit manic recently, and a lot of our time has been taken up with family things and things to do with friends, and me being ill, of course. So it was kind of like a question as to whether I should go along. But then, as Mrs. Space Commander pointed out, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to meet a real life Joe from Action Force. So she sent me on my way, and so going in there, I knew that I would probably be the only person representing Action Force other than the Sarge himself, and I think that was pretty much the case. But there were loads of people there, fans and wrestlers alike, all wearing crazy wrestling costumes.
Nice. So you fit in anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it didn't matter that I looked a bit bonkers.
What's that? You normally look bonkers. I need to make a retraction. I said we're the G.I. Joe fans. I meant to say Action Force fans. Sorry, Space Commander. Please let me keep the hat.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Calm down. It's all right.
Well, actually, I did. I know Sarge isn't necessarily going to be as into action figures as we are because it's our hobby. He is an action figure, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be too up on 3 3/4 inch versus 6 inch, 5 points of articulation, 12 points of articulation. No. I know that's not necessarily going to be his sort of thing. But
he's got a great collection.
Yeah, I've heard. I know a guy who went there and saw it.
Yeah.
But I did say when I got to talk to Sarge and Kelly, I not this one because this is my one, but I gave them an original Action Force Space Commander from the 80s. And I said this is what Action Force looked like before the merger with G.I. Joe. So at least they've got an idea of what the figures were like when it was just Palatoy. And I gave them a Space Force hat as well. So,
nice.
Yeah, so I thought that'd make a nice souvenir. Just a couple of small mementos, nothing earth shattering, but a couple of things that they can remember their trip. And I'm sure a lot of people watching the show already know this, but just very briefly, Action Force started off with being made by a British company called Palatoy. Their parent company General Mills, which was an American company, they already had a pre-existing relationship with Hasbro. So they started to sort of mix G.I. Joe figures in with Action Force. And they sort of changed the colors and the names of them and so forth. And then after a few years, they stopped doing that and just started marketing Hasbro G.I. Joe figures in Action Force packets. And that's how the name Sergeant Slammer came about instead of Sergeant Slaughter. So I know sometimes G.I. Joe fans will, it's a real American hero, and sometimes they get upset and think, oh, what have the British done? They've changed it all. No. It was General Mills, an American company, and Hasbro, another American company. They made the decisions. Palitoy did this, and everything else that happened was done elsewhere. So I thought it would be interesting just for Sergeant Kelly to see sort of visually, this is how it started before the merger took place. And that's the origin of that.
Well, we always appreciate your history lessons, Space Commander. I'll say this, there's as an Australian who collects G.I. Joe, I was always a big fan of the international heroes, even though they are obviously real American heroes in the USA. As a fan from outside of the US, Sergeant Slammer was big in Action Force. There you go. Yeah. Still is. But they'll always be international heroes to me. But it's good that everyone sort of gets their own version of it. We all grew up with our own versions of it.
For him to sign Sergeant Slammer without me even asking him to, that was a really sweet moment for me. He's like remembered the old school British fans and put that name down instead. That was really nice. And he gave me full force as well.
He gave you what? He gave you full force?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's such a friendly guy. He's really great. He plays the heel really well, but when he's being himself, he's just a real friendly guy. And we were fortunate enough, TJC, Jace, Mark Potter, and myself were able to meet with Kelly, a couple of Kelly's friends, and Sarge and Sarge's business manager / traveling companion. We all met up afterwards for drinks, and that was fantastic. Just to hang out with him when he's being a regular guy, being himself. It was a great evening. I feel very privileged as well because, of all the thousands of fans who were in the exhibit that day at the venue, how many got to spend time sort of behind the curtain with Sarge and have drinks and just to chat with him? Very, very few. So I feel very privileged that he was able to. He and Kelly were able to make time for the fans and spend time with us. And everywhere he walked, someone would jump out and say, "Can I have a selfie, please? Would you mind signing this, please?" And he had time for everyone. So it was a really great experience.
Yeah, I agree. And the Palitoy storybook. Before we get into the book, because we'll finish off the stream with a little bit of the book talk if you want, Sarge. I almost said Sarge Spacey. But you've got to meet both Bob Breakin and Sergeant Slammer.
I'm a lucky puppy.
Aren't you just? Yeah.
It's been a crazy couple of years. It's interesting. Years and years ago, on the old Blood for the Baron website, the old version of it, when it had all forums and stuff, I was quite active on there, and for a lot of years I was like hip deep in Action Force, and the website was run by the gentleman who makes these and makes these Action Force Redux, and he makes these.
Well, if you were holding up anything, if you're holding it, mate, I didn't see any of that. Let's start again.
Okay, so that website was and is a new version of the website is made by Jim, the Baron, Jim Marshall, right. And he made. I don't know if you can see that.
Nah, keep hold. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Okay, he made this.
Yes.
And he made an absolute ton of these.
Yes, nice, perfect.
And he's responsible for this.
Brilliant.
He also made this.
I don't see that one yet.
This is the Palatoy Collector's Guide.
There it is.
TJC's one arrived in the post while we were away. So again, great timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim has got loads of stuff going on with big projects coming up. It'll be great to be able to sit and talk about them properly one day. But yeah, at the time, the old version of the website, like I say, I was kind of active on that. Did some stories for them and things. It was great fun. And then over the time, that kind of fell by the wayside. And then Jim has sort of like revamped the website and brought it back more like a resource page.
Yes, brilliant.
And so having been sort of like involved in Action Force and then not being involved in it for a few years, to then meet you online, you and I got talking about the strange accents that appeared in the cartoon series. According to the comics that we had, Rakondo was Australian, Flint and Ripcord were English. There were all these different sort of international heroes, different nationalities on the team. And so when we first got the cartoon, not realizing that it was G.I. Joe with certain bits overdubbed and a new logo on it, we didn't realize that. To watch those old videotapes and suddenly hear everybody speaking with an American accent was kind of shocking and very confusing. If we'd have known that it was from an all-American story, it would have been understandable. But because it said Action Force on it, we were expecting something else. So you and I got talking about that. We got talking about how, unfortunately, for some reason, bigotry, excuse me, for some reason, the bad guys almost always have an Australian or an English accent, which is unfair. Yeah. And they usually hire someone who can't do an Australian or English accent to do the role. And we kind of got talking like that. And then we started talking about the stuff that we do like about Action Force and G.I. Joe. And we got chatting about Sergeant Slaughter. And I started to show you the history of Action Force, the way it began with Palatoy and all the separate teams. Space Force, of course, Q Force, Z Force, SAS, and some of the teams that were planned for but never came to fruition. How some fans have made, the Special Weapons Force and various other forces. And there's like a whole wealth of information there. And you and I got talking and exchanged ideas about certain things. And before you know it, I was hip deep in Action Force again.
Perfect.
So it's great that all this kind of happened because of you, and because of you, I've got to meet Bob Breakin. You gave us all the information on that, and of course meeting Sergeant Slaughter himself. Kelly was there, so that was great. Got to meet her too, and we'll go into the Bob Breakin stuff in more detail at a later date. But yeah, his book is out. The book, the book that he wrote with Brian Hickey. It's a fantastic book. My Palatoy Story. This is the hardback version. I believe that there is going to be a paperback version of this eventually, which we made available. So if you missed out on this, you will have a second chance, I think. I don't want to make promises on behalf of Brian Hickey or Bob Breakin, but I believe that that is something that's coming up in the near future.
How are you, Retro? He's saying, g'day, tuning in on his smoko break, so I can't stay long. I hope he's just saying smoko as a break and not actually smoking. Smoking's no good for you, Nate. Don't do it. But do you know that song about smoko? That's a great Aussie banger. So thanks for the heads up on that book. So there may be a soft cover version, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll check that out. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, Space Commander. We'll come back next week with Mark Potter and TJC. Your internet connection should catch up by then. But it was absolutely great to see you again, mate. And now I know that. Oh God, he's a healthy boy. Good on you, mate. I know that there's been a lot of people that have been missing you, so it's good to have you back. We make fun of your internet connections, but you know that we love you, and we're always happy to have you on the show. And me and even the people in the chat we need more Space Commander in our life. So we're going to have the games nights returning and incoming transmission again. Maybe some other things coming up in the future, special guests. We're trying to get some special guests together for your show. But this was fun. I'm glad we'll touch base again next week when we talk. And I can talk Sergeant Slaughter or Sergeant Slame until I'm blue in the face. So I'm glad we're coming back again to chat about this again next week with Mark Potter and TJC. But yeah, it's absolutely great. I've missed you. Thanks, buddy. I've missed you. It's good to see you again. I agree. So it's good to have incoming transmission return. And we're gonna put together an epic show for the next one, and future episodes. We'll also are gonna have some epic guests, epic topics, epic internet connections if we're lucky. Thanks, Gaz. Cheers, Nate. And with that, now I'll give you, because it's your epic return, Space Commander. What outro would you like? Do you want the classic one? Do you want the funeral one? Do I still have the funeral one on here? Or which one would you like?
It's been such an epic weekend. Let's go for something kind of upbeat and fun.
All right. So we'll just go with the classic outro for the clubhouse then?
Sure.
All right. See you, everyone.
See you soon.